Hey there. We all know that medical problems can be scary and oftentimes complicated. So today we're going to talk about new treatments for a disease that could impact anyone with a uterus, and that's endometriosis. So let's start with an introduction so that we can all get on the same page. Now I'm going to start with a quick review of uterine anatomy and the menstrual cycle so that we're all on the same page here. So here's a nice little picture of a uterus. Here we have our fallopian tubes. We have our ovaries. And down at the bottom is the cervix. Now, we're going to talk about the menstrual cycle. So each month, the uterus grows a lining. And that lining is called the endometrium. And so that lining grows along the inside of the uterus. Now, normally the menstrual cycle is a 28-day cycle. Day 1 indicates the start of menstruation. And that is when the endometrium is shed. So that endometrial lining is shed. So that's usually between days 1 and 7. Between days 7 and 14, ovulation occurs. And then between days 14 and 28, that's when that lining grows. Now, endometriosis is what happens when the endometrium grows outside the uterus. So instead of growing on the inside like I drew before, you have endometrium that grows along the outside of the uterus as well. And we call this ectopic endometrium or endometriosis lesions. And these can be very, very painful, especially during menstruation. And previous research has shown that macrophages, these are types of white blood cells related to the immune system, are actually linked to endometriosis. So our researchers wanted to know how these macrophages impact endometriosis. So let's talk about what they did. Let's get some methods. Obviously, it's hard to experiment on people, so they ran these experiments on mice. And they looked at 3 different types of macrophages and turned them off in different combinations. So our 3 different macrophages, we have endometrial macrophages, which are found in the uterus. We have native abdominal macrophages. These are ones that are normally found in the abdomen. And then we have recruited abdominal macrophages. And these are ones from other areas of the body, but respond to the inflammation from endometriosis. So I'm going to make a little chart here to show you what the 3 different experiments actually look like. So we have 1, 2, 3 experiments. We have our 3 different types of macrophages. And our researchers turned them off in different combinations. So for experiment 1, they turned off the abdominal macrophages, both of them. but left the endometrial macrophages on. Second experiment, they turned the endometrial macrophages off and left the other two on. And in the third experiment, they left everything on, but they added extra abdominal recruited macrophages. Let us talk about what they found. Results. And for the results, I'm just going to add a row onto my chart. So here we are looking at the growth of that ectopic endometrium, or those endometriosis lesions. So in experiment 1, they found that the growth of the ectopic endometrium actually went up. So that's a bad thing. In experiment 2, the growth went down, which is a good thing. And in experiment 3, the growth went down even more. What does this all mean? Let's get a little discussion going on. What the researchers saw in their experiment was that the recruited abdominal macrophages decreased that ectopic endometrial growth, so that was good. They also saw that endometrial macrophages caused ectopic endometrium to grow, which was bad. So looking at the bigger picture in our conclusions, endometriosis is a disease that's often undiagnosed. And the treatments that we currently have for endometriosis, the big one is surgery to remove that tissue. But surgery is really serious. So this research might give us new treatment options using those macrophages and how they operate. If you are someone who has a uterus, or you know someone who does, if menstrual pain is really bad, so it prevents you from doing things in your daily life that you would otherwise normally do, you should tell your doctor. And you can get screened for endometriosis and then figure out a treatment plan that works for you. Hope you learned something today. Have a good one.